Okay.
Greetings, dear precious spirit soul, divine being that you are. Even though those are words, words are sounds, sounds are vibrations, vibrations are energy, energy glows, energy is light. Therefore, words manifest light, are light in this reality. And this reality is, as we know, in a sense, a light show. Okay, my topic, having nurturing, empowering relationships. Having nurturing, empowering relationships. Okay. What goes on in the relationship category is actually what's going on with the Battle of Armageddon going on in your own mind of arguing, of taking sides, of like and dislike, you know. It's that duality, the conflict all the time. So relationships in a duality reality, such as this, always have conflict. And also they're compared to a positive and a negative. The negative or minus being, they call female, feminine, and then the masculine, or not masculine, but male and female, because those words mean different things. So then you've got the male being a plus, but then in our own mind, plus means good, minus means loss. So the female's a loser and the man, he's a winner. So it's all these. This is how the mind does it, and we don't realize that, but that's influencing every single choice we make, how we feel in each moment, who we are, whether we are living in a box of words, a cube that is controlling our world in thought bites, story bites, reality boxes, story boxes, these are constructs, like you're building a house. And when you want to have an empowering and nurturing relationship, it cannot be built on conflict. There's differences, and on those differences, there's value, obviously, because we're not the same. We're not equal. Give up this equal stuff. This is all programming to make you think that and believe all of us are all just the same and equal, except those people who are making the laws and the rules and the blah, 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 blah. Just don't do that. What you've got to do is claim your spiritual life. This is your only, if you want a hope and hopelessness. The hopelessness is ignorance. The right use of hope, which you don't really need, is to know who you are. All right. So when we have relationship, family. Okay, everybody has, I remember when I first got married in this lifetime. You know, we do it over and over again, and however many, whatever it is, incarnations you have gone through. And I got married. What do you do? I have no idea. What do you talk about? What's it? You're married. What does that mean? You know. And then I remember how my folks were married, but I kind of really didn't want the way they had their marriage, or I didn't even know what I wanted. You know, this is kind of how we are. But I'd learned movies, stories, what everybody else was doing, you know. You guess, well, I guess this is what I do because everybody else, and you dream on that, and you set that up, and then we've got all of our holidays, we do the same thing. This is like a bunch of ants in an ant colony, and they always have a queen, you know. She kills the male guy right after she gets impregnated, so to speak. Ah! Anyway, good thing I'm not an insect because I don't follow the mind. So anyway, the empowerment, okay, to be mutually empowering and nurturing, people didn't realize what's a relationship about. And we have relationships, everything. Well, you know, I've got a relationship with the earth right now, and the clothes I'm wearing, and you out there, and Michael over there, and what that is, and I've got, and the trees and all this. This is a relative reality where this world is all relative to everything else. Yet our nature is absolute. We are the absolute truth. That you and me, us living entities, the divine and the divine, our source, our partner, our beloved, our I don't know, it's the personification of the absolute in every way. That we are all part of in our own way, and yet drawing from that source. So what happens in a duality also, what's being programmed and such, is there is no absolute, it's all relative. But then by saying that, they make the relative then the absolute. So look, notice how the words are going. And that's how the program it begins, because it's done with words. And then whoever controls the meanings of the words controls you, me, anybody else, who then lives from those beliefs and in that mind. And that is a duality. That is a duality. It's fighting each other. It works because positive and negative seem to be opposites, but they attract each other to make the whole. You understand like that? So then you are whole, because so when you bring them together and rise above and observe the duality, you don't play positive thinking or negative thinking, because it's not about thinking. And yes, we are using thoughts and words right now because this is what we've been taught to do, and we've been also taught the meaning that we are accepting and agreeing with, and therefore manifesting as a collective agreement. But realize and know, have real eyes to know who the real I is, who is our source, our partner, our beloved that we are with now, who does it all for us. That when you get a teaching that says that science and religion are equal and they have to come together, but then that science will be the one that will say whether the religious thing is true or not, because then science becomes God. Uh-oh, I lost my page. There's a little stream right there. It was really so cute. You could just see it right here. And all these rocks, there's probably gold in those rocks. You could look around. And then I said my friend Denise has to get up here with this place because, there's interesting rocks, anything. Okay, so what in relationship then, you've got a controller, a dominator, and then the dominated one. And what tends to happen in one, because of our love, because we are love, is that you don't want to hurt the other person, so you hurt yourself. The divine being would do that. A divine being, that would be, because you would not want anybody to come to harm. You really wouldn't. And you would rather, instead of hurt them, you would rather hurt yourself. You have to give up the idea that one needs to be hurt and one doesn't. You have to give up the idea of pain and hurt. There's equality, because that means sameness, and it's always the same, going in the same direction. That's insect mentality. Okay, and they're dominators, they're killers. If you get into the insects, you see what they do, and that's what the mind will do if you follow that. If you have the mind virus, because what will happen is you're dealing in duality, conflict all the time. And when we're doing that conflict within ourselves, then in relationship, we have the program. Everybody's got the mind, and that basic program is you're not good enough. For most of us, is you're not good enough, or there's someone superior to you, or there's someone inferior to you in that sense. Yes, there's different levels of abilities and skills and that sort of thing, and our level of awareness of who we are, but that never changes the quality of our being. Just like milk could be made into yogurt, or could be made into butter. It could be made into kefir, which I'm making with raw milk, really good. Anyway, but it's still milk, but yet it also has all these differences, and that's how we are. So you get above the duality, and you can see in relationship, it's about who's dominating and who's dominated. and noticing what people give up in order to be secure or to have money, or all of these kind of things. It's because that's the kind of world we're living in, and and this is what we're doing, that you can't be the dominated or the dominator. And also you have to give up the game of victim, perpetrator, savior, because you'll be playing that all the time, because you're playing it with yourself. You become the police person on yourself. You have to give up. We need to give up punishing ourselves and punishing others, and to notice that our love is so great and so beautiful that without knowing that, we would take on a consciousness, an awareness of those that we associate with, even though it does not resonate in our hearts as who we truly are and what that all means. So if you want a loving relationship and a nurturing and empowering, it's not about sentimentality. It's not about, because I know, I've been married a few times in this lifetime, but because I got right into relationships and everything. I want to know what it's about and all those kind of things. And when you're actually kind of a participator like that, oftentimes you're not as likely to want to stay in one place in a certain condition always, because you're a seeker. You're really questioning. You're really looking. You're trying. Like I was trying to play the game, like everybody else was playing the game to fit in, but noticing all the time that I didn't fit in, and I would get to a certain point when I couldn't take it anymore, as if someone else was taking my power, because I allowed myself to be the dominated. But if I'm allowing myself to be the dominated, it's because I'm ultimately also the dominator, because I'm only being dominated so I can dominate that person to blah, 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 blah. So you see how it goes? And then we're playing a game of in all of business, in everything else, where it doesn't mean someone isn't a project director or something like that. Like in an orchestra, you guys going together and all that. You got the director of the movie, like Michael's the director. He's got all this going. Yeah, that's what we got, jobs to do, and you do those, but from the divine, and that you start practicing having this nurturing relationship you have with yourself. And the kind of thing is that we stop torturing ourselves and then projecting that onto other people and saying, well, they weren't there for me, but you're not even there for yourself, because you're living in that mind, in that story. And how much in relationship are we so committed to our story, and then at the end what your intention was in the beginning, because it was to play the game and to live out the hypnotic trances that you're not good enough, and then the double trances that even you will start to remember, you will forget again, or you will blah 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 blah. You cannot live by the mind, because you can't escape it. You just have to control it and understand and know how it flows. And yet when you're using the language that we've been taught to use, to make sure you're clear on your meaning, and that you're completely clear and strong on your loving intentions. And then you don't have to be less for somebody to be more. And you don't have to be more to feel better that somebody is less. It's our whole, I would call that loosely coupled. Michael has told me that, because that's like from computer language. You say loosely coupled. That doesn't mean we're not there together working, and however it is, whatever your thing is in your relationship, no matter what kind of form it is, you have those agreements as what you're creating together at some level, and you're there all contributing to that for what that is. But you're not playing old sitcom movies. You're not living a movie. You're not behaving as a statistic. You're being who you are. That's my word. Hugs.
Good job.
Yeah.